wow. Well, this guy is falling asleep in Maui after it took him how long? Oh, the people in Maui will tell you. This clip came out. 13 days, you hear them saying, here he comes after 13 days.
Wow, yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for nothing.
Okay, and then there's a lot of this, a lot of this. I hope it's all bleeped out. I'm sorry if there's any kids watching, but you get the point, right? And it goes on. They have a definite viewpoint on that.
Hey, right here, you, Joe Biden, you.
He does not have a lot of fans right now in Maui. And by the way, in Hawaii, he ought to, right? It's a pretty liberal place. I mean, this is where Obama was from. It's a liberal place. You know how liberal it is. For goodness sakes, the guy who controlled the darn water supply was so liberal and so concerned with water equity that he didn't even release the lousy water, thereby leading to these deaths, leading to this destruction. It's just really, really disgusting, and it makes me very angry. And I'm telling you, that's what communism is all about. It really does lead to death and destruction, because you have really moronic individuals thinking about these grand thoughts instead of the reality of, oh, one, we ought to clear the brush in the forest. We ought to have controlled fires in our forest so that we can deal with this. And two, by the way, when something like this happens, yeah, we release the water. Anyway, Joe Biden finally, after 13 days, goes down there, gets very, very poorly received, as you can see. Did at one point seem to be nodding off as the officials were talking. But then when it was his turn to speak, he got up there and he gave a story. He started talking about his darn Corvette again. Oh yeah, that's a great way to win friends and influence people. I mean, at least when Donald Trump talked about his wealth, you knew that he actually had built a business, etc. When Biden talks about it, you're like, oh, wait, how'd you get that? 50 years in government, how did you get that? Oh, must have been Hunter's doing. Must have been, right? Anyway, he starts talking about how there was this awful fire and, unfortunately, this is what you call a tall tale.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday, and lightning struck at home on a little lake that's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat.
Yeah, that 67 Corvette, gee, your cat. It turns out, according to the AP, and I'm going to share with you this 2004 AP report, that it was, quote, a small fire contained to the kitchen that was under control in 20 minutes. So that's what he leads with? That's what we have now upwards of 110 deaths in Maui, and it just such utter destruction. And that's where he goes, not to mention the money that it's going to take to repair all of those lives and buildings and livelihoods in Maui, because one guy thought it would be more equitable to not allow the water to go out, for goodness sakes. It's going to take some $6 billion, they're estimating. So what do you know? Biden has a grand idea. Let's tie it to the Ukraine funding. Like that makes any sense. He wants some $24.1 billion that we can put towards Ukraine. And we're gonna have a bill and put disaster relief funding for Maui and for Florida and even, some stuff in California. That's gonna be tied to this Ukraine bill. It doesn't even make sense. It's wrong. And you just have to ask yourself, and it's the reason why I want to get to the bottom of just exactly what was going on from a financial perspective. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.